Hello everyone, Space Oyster here, and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age. In the last episode, we helped out with the Esther Sand camp with the cactoid problem they were having, and finally made our way here to the camp in the Mossforan High Wastes. In this episode, we'll be continuing through the Mossforan High Wastes to the Celica Wood, and then through the Celica Wood to the Hunter's Camp. And, yeah, just got the map of the area. It looks something like this. I'm not gonna fully explore it right now. Part of the reason is that it's a little difficult to do until these are online, and I think that's story locked. For now, we're just gonna pass right on through. Thief's Cuffs. That is a very useful item that makes it easier to steal items from enemies, and it also unlocks a special set of items you can steal from enemies. It's useful for getting specific pieces of gear that you're going to want in one particular hunt I can think of. Oh right, I did forget to mention that vendor, he does have some new stuff, but buying it is not a priority. Right now I just got a few new weapons. I got the Bastard Sword for Balthier, there was a new staff for Ash, and I think there was also a new dagger, yeah, the Avenger, as well as a new pole and a new bow. I'm still keeping the Ninja Sword on Vaughn for now because it's still his strongest option. Also, more importantly, they had a few new spells, namely Eroga and Bio. So what I'm gonna do with Ash now is I'm gonna have her casting Bio as often as possible, as opposed to trying to hit a specific element if they're vulnerable to that element, so that way she can be a bit more focused. Bio in this game, in addition to inflicting sap, also does a lot of damage. So I usually go for it as my first source of non-elemental damage, but it can probably lead to me being in a few sticky situations if my characters are fighting an enemy that I have to be careful around. Yeah, lots of flying enemies in this area, so I highly recommend equipping your ranged weapons. And I think I'll go ahead and switch to Balthier to show off what him using a bow is like. Yeah, the giant stone bow is hilarious. On my, I think it was second or third attempt through the game, I loved getting to this part for the first time. I had Pinello using bows, and she just looked hilarious with this giant stone bow equipped. I'm just going to keep the ranged equipment equipped for now until we get to the next area. I think there's going to be flying enemies all throughout this area, this small section, and the next small section before we make it to the Celica Wood. So it's just handier to have everyone in their ranged fighting equipment. You know, despite the fact that ninja swords are sexier than lances. That vendor in the Mossforan High Wastes, he also had some new armor, but like I said, since the camp on the Fawn Coast that we're making our way to, they're going to sell new equipment as well. So the buying new equipment here or back at Mount Baromises is not a priority. I just focus mainly on getting your characters with weapons that don't use elements, so that way you can rely on non-elemental damage to deal with foes. Oh, one other small change I decided to go through is, near the end of the last episode, I decided to give Pinello the Wormfire shot. However, I decided I would unequip it. I really don't want to have to deal with her dealing fire element damage to enemies she can't hurt with the fire element. And since the non-element damage is going to be useful far more often than the fire-specific one, I decided I'm just going to keep her equipped with no element ammo as opposed to the fire element specific one, despite the fact that the Wormfire shot is stronger. Wait, did that stone bow just bend? tough to tell. Well, anyway. This is a part of the game that's much maligned by the audience, because this is really where it's rather obvious that they're dragging their feet. The walk to Arcadia does take quite a while, and there isn't too much plot that happens, unlike with getting ambushed by plot on the way to Mount Baromeses. We do get a bit more characterization for one or two characters on the way to Arcadia, but it's kind of minimal, and it doesn't lead us off the beaten path the way that the trek to Mount Baromeses did. So it's a bit weaker in this area. This section of the game is very video gamey, if that makes sense. Yeah. I love the sound it makes when you get a critical hit. It's like getting a successful parry on Bloodborne, or a headshot in... I don't know, but there's a game that makes a very sexy sound effect when you get a headshot. Well, anyway, let's keep going. Now, despite the semi-urgency of staying on the beaten path, there actually is a small side area you can get to for an optional cutscene. You do have to fight an optional boss who is otherwise pretty easy. I'm going to avoid that for now. My general consensus is that this boss is actually easily handled with the first of the optional espers that we can obtain, and I haven't obtained him yet. I usually like to wait till I'm about level 35-ish or higher, because the esper himself is at level 39, and all of the optional espers have a gimmick attached to them. So if you're going to hunt down optional espers, you need to be prepared to handle their gimmicks. Anyway, back to our sexier melee equipment now. And Bosch is lucky he doesn't have to change his equipment at all, because he's good like that. Part of the reason why I really like white mages. The other reason is that I often play healers in MMOs, like on Final Fantasy XIV. I'm mainly a healer on that, and that pretty much started because my first MMO experience was DC Universe Online, where people could queue up as a healer, but they wouldn't have to play a healer. Like, if their class is capable of using healing abilities, but the player themselves wants to play DPS, they can totally queue up as a healer and then DPS. It was really egregious, and I hated it. So I always played the healer, so that way I wouldn't have to deal with not having a healer around. Yeah, kind of not the most elegant solution, but whatever. Winners write history, and we always won because I was amazing. And I have absolutely no faults, nor am I being overly cocky right now. Not at all. Now, lots of funny enemies here in the Salika Wood. But I guess they did want to avoid having you go off the beaten path here in the Salika Wood like you did with the, let's see, what was it called again? The woods where Fran's family lives. I already forgot the name of them. I think the reason they wanted to avoid that is they didn't want to give the impression that they were just repeating the exact same tropes and story beats that they already used before now. Anyway, here is the map of the Salika Wood. The optional boss is here, and to get to the optional area, you have to go up here. There is a cutscene you can trigger if you go up there, but I'm gonna avoid it. I can probably post a link to it, though. Yeah, I'll go ahead and post a link to that. Check in the comments below. Hopefully. I should probably research if I can find that first before I start making promises like that. Yeah. Yay, finally the boys are catching up. And, yeah, you know what, let's go ahead and run around as Vaughn. I mean, he gets to run around in all the cities, but he's never fighting in the cities. So I guess we get a chance to let him show off his ninja skills and prove that he's better than Naruto. But not really. Or I don't know. I did hear they initially wanted, the initial story plan for Naruto was that the main character himself wasn't actually going to be using ninjutsu. He was actually supposed to be using some sort of magic that he inherited from the nine-tailed fox that got sealed in him. But they decided to change it up to just him having a lot of the ninja juice to use ninja abilities somewhere along the road, and basically just made all of the ninjas mages. I don't know, personally I got real sick of Naruto after a while. I just kept doing filler arc, followed by another filler arc, and then a filler arc. And then really bad excuses for the characters I don't like for doing the things I wish they didn't do. Yeah. You can try to silence me, boy, but it's not gonna work. Well, it did work, but it's not like it really matters. One small thing of note that I'm surprised didn't actually make headline news because I thought it would. They changed the name of the sleeping item from the alarm clock to a prince's kiss. And I'm really surprised moral guardians didn't jump at the chance to say video games are evil because it's implying homosexual stuff because a prince's kiss can be used on men. Gasp! But whatever. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk to this guy. Once the gate's fixed, everyone will be able to go to the Fawn Coast, Kupo. It'll take a little while longer yet. That is, if my 9 missing apprentices ever come back from the Salika Wood. We'll never finish repairs like this, Kupo. They're probably loafing in a Salika Wood bungalow. Still 9 missing. Yeah, that's the pretty much objective for this area. They've mostly been dropping area-specific gimmicks ever since. When was the last time they used one? I think it was on the Dreadnought Leviathan. Yeah, it'll actually be more apparent on this big map. Each of the Moogles we're hunting down are at those exclamation points. So let's go ahead and head up north and go to those guys up there. And then we'll circle back down to the save crystal, and we should be able to hit all of the Moogles in that path. Or along that path. Tough to Phoenix down. Oh, and I finally remembered to pick up the Gambit to target enemies with more status conditions, namely Reflect, but I also picked them up for Faith and a few other ones too. I pretty much just went on a shopping spree and bought all the Gambits to target all the enemies with various status conditions, so that way I'm covering my bases. Now, I don't have it set up on this playthrough, but I usually have a Gambit set up on my Black Mage to first target enemies with the abilities, not with the ability, but with the status condition Reflect. I have my mages target them with physical attacks first, so that way if my mage is physically attacking, I know there's an enemy with Reflect up, and I can get rid of that. And then it doesn't interfere with them doing their normal mage duties, because I can quickly get rid of Reflect, and they'll go back to doing it right away. It was a little handy, but it also led to situations where my Black Mage at that time, let's see, on that playthrough, I believe my Black Mage was, I think it was Pinello that time, would go back to doing their stuff. Pinello or Bosch, one or the other. I think it was Bosch, because when I was doing a playthrough with Pinello on Black Mage, I actually had her do Black Mage with Bushi, and she just ended up being more or less a physical person who occasionally used magic. Not necessarily a bad combination, but I ultimately decided from then on that I want my Black Mage to be a Black Mage. Alright, so there are absolutely no enemies in this section here, right before the optional boss. And you can totally tackle that optional boss at this point in the game. I wouldn't... Well, I'm not going to do it, but you can. It's a... Let's see. It's got a lot of allies, so area of effect abilities are good. And it's weak to the water element, so stocking up on Aqua Remotes, if possible, is ideal to get rid of the reinforcements it calls in. And then they all self-destruct, and they run around a lot, so yeah, pretty inconvenient. The reason why I like getting that optional Esper first is because one of my runs on Final Fantasy XII before I dropped the base game, I was trying to make the most use out of the Espers. It was a lot easier in that version of the game because you got access to buffing spells that the Espers really need to use earlier on, namely Bubble and Shell and Haste. It was a lot of fun. I would highly recommend trying to get the most out of your Espers. But that first optional Esper, he is the first one who is immune to all the elements that he isn't flat out weak to. And we also picked up a skill there, Charm. Charm is kind of mostly useless. All it does is it can confuse an enemy, and that's it. I remember at one point I was so completely dedicated to making Bosch use Charm on enemies because I thought Bosch was charming. It never really worked out, though. I probably would have had a higher success rate if I had Balthier do it. What? No, we're working on the gate up ahead. Okay, we're not actually working on it right now, if you must be literal about it. The boss wants us, Kupo. Breaks over, Kupo. Oh, well. Bye-bye, Kupo. Oh, there's still 7 of us on break out there. Man, this is a really egregious example of hand-holding because they tell you how many Moogles are still on break, and then they constantly have how many Moogles have returned on your map, right below the mini-map there. Very egregious. Kupo, we're here working on the gate up ahead. Well, right now we're on break, actually. The boss wants us, Kupo. That's no good. He's scary when he gets mad. Okay, break time's over. Bye-bye, Kupo. Oh, there's still 5 of us on break out there. We're not being totally redundant by telling you that. Ugh. I mean, I know I'm the head of the Department of Redundancy Department, but that doesn't mean everyone else has to be. Redundant, that is. Remedy. Oh yeah, Charm is usually useless, especially since you can get the spell Confuse, and the mages who learn it should have a pretty high success rate with Confuse. I believe it's white magic, so your white mage will learn how to use that. Yeah, so pretty much just a skill that's there for the sake of filling out a skill list. Now, technically, I think most of the technics are like that, as I've already mentioned. Not all the techniques are bad, though. There's one that's been available in the shops that I never went over, I don't think, called Soul Eater. It's basically just your standard Dark Knight ability. You trade some of your HP to do an attack that does a lot of damage. Really, really handy, especially in the rare situations where your actual attack isn't going to do much. Hint, hint. Lots of rabbit enemies here. I generally like to avoid just hitting all the enemies that aren't hostile right away. It's generally a good idea to go for. But as we've already seen early on, these guys are actually pretty helpful because they heal you, and it's nice. Although they probably should die for the crime of being bunnies. But I'll let someone else exact that justice upon them, because I don't care. Alright, so change of plans. I'm instead going to head down to the area with the first save crystal, and then work my way back up, since the other bungalow is on the way to the exit. Oh, look, they're sleeping. If you like, you can actually avoid waking up sleeping enemies by hitting them with magic instead of physical attacks. Magical attacks won't wake up sleeping enemies. It's rather convenient. Leads me to a weird observation I made on Final Fantasy XIV as well. When an enemy's asleep, you're actually capable of generating aggro on sleeping enemies with the Paladin's skill, Flash. It's really neat. Oh, we're here working on the gate down the road, but right now, it's break time, Kupo! Kupo? The boss wants us back on the job? That Moogle driver, Kupo. Sigh. Well, let's get back and be done with this. Bye-bye, Kupo. Oh, there's still 2 of us on break out there with our totally redundant information that is redundant and stupid! Yeah, I'm not gonna get over that. I was talking about sleep in Final Fantasy XIV. If you're playing as a class that can put enemies to sleep, which is just White Mage and Black Mage, then really you should only focus on doing that if you've got a tank, if your tank is a Paladin. Because Warriors and Dark Knights, the other 2 tank jobs in Final Fantasy XIV, their attacks will just wake the enemies right back up. So it's a complete waste of time. Alright, last 2 Moogles. We're here working on the gate up ahead. Except right now, we're taking a break, actually. What? The boss wants us? Uh-oh, Kupo. We'd better go. He's ugly when he gets mad, Kupo. That's all of us, Kupo. Let's get working. Wait, how do the Moogles know when I found them all? Or how many of them I've already found? How do they know? They can probably communicate telepathically with their pom-poms. Now that my apprentices are all back, the repairs took no time at all, Kupo. Witness the power of Moogles! Oh wow, I am so impressed. Truly, you are amazing. Anyway, all the Moogle workers will say the exact same stuff, so just talk to the boss to get a general idea of what they're all saying. Thanks to you, the repairs of the gate are finished, Kupo. Here, a token of our gratitude. A sash. The Fawn Coast is up ahead, Kupo. Pretty views there, but the locals, not so pretty. Actually, I think they say something different. I hear we're off to the Necro Hall of Nabudis next, but there's monsters there. Big ones. Let's play it safe, Kupo. I don't think they survive, because I don't remember ever running into Moogles in the Necro Hall of Nabudis. The Necro Hall of Nabudis. Anyway, we're here at our next destination, the Fawn Coast. I love the music here, although it's spoiled somewhat because we've heard it before.
It would seem we made the right choice. If we'd taken the easy way and come by airship, one of those patrols would no doubt have been quick to roll out the red carpet. We're on the Empire's doorstep now, so we shouldn't have to worry quite so much. But that's no excuse to get sloppy. It is still a long road to the capital.
I guess we got another glaring plot hole at this point. Why couldn't they just have rented a public airship and flown to Arcadia that way? Yeah, I think they wanted to just pad the game out with this walk to Arcadia. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, we're going to make our way to the Hunter's Cap next, here on the Fawn Coast. And it is in the Hunter's Cap that I would recommend grinding up to buy the gear that's available there. For now, I'm going to keep my exploration of this area heavy. I want to explore everywhere. Let's just find all the things. Because why not? I mean, it's not like we're in a hurry or anything. Most of the enemies here are no big deal. There are a few flyers, like this guy right here, and they're hostile flyers. So, Fran, crossbow time. Slow or disable? I like disable more. You know what? Let's run around as Fran. Why not? I don't think we've seen her using that crossbow very often. Hey, she got a critical hit. Oh right, I gotta equip Vaughn with a spear too, just for now. I'll just go ahead and keep this stuff equipped while we're in an area that I've seen a flying enemy, because it could get messy. I would highly recommend killing the frogs here. They drop an item you can use for a potentially useful accessory. Oh, wow. Okay. You know what, Fran? We're going back to gravity for flying enemies. I don't care if I don't like it. Twice in a row is not good. Not good at all. Yeah. Crossbows suck, and I'm not using them anymore. I mean, kind of giving up quick there. She just missed twice in a row with an axe, too. Yeah, the cluster of frog spawn. I believe you'll need 2 of those to get an accessory that allows your spellcasters to cast through reflect. Very, very, very handy. Especially since the heavy armor they sell here on the Fawn Coast has an auto reflect put on the characters. Like equipping it is reflect. I don't know, maybe Fran just has a hard time hitting enemies here with a crossbow because it's bright and sunny out. Or maybe crossbows just suck. No, it's probably the first thing, bright and sunny. But she wasn't doing too bad on the Mossfern High Waste, or before now, as far as I could tell. But I always distinctly remember crossbows being bad here, so it might be because of that area. Or I'm just making a big deal out of nothing and I just happen to get unlucky. Happens a lot. I've been doing a Nuzlocke of Pokemon Platinum. Totally not doing it to imitate Team 4-Star, I promise. I started my Nuzlocke shortly before they did. Or was it shortly after an independent and I didn't know they were doing one? You know, either way, on my Nuzlocke of Pokemon Platinum, I have gotten really lucky. I lost the Eevee I was grooming to be super powerful and awesome to Horn Drill, an attack with 30 accuracy. It was going to be an Espeon. It was going to kick all the ass. And it just died to a Horn Drill, and I couldn't do anything about it. Although, Nuzlocks always make me feel weird. It makes me feel like I'm the, like, Paul from the anime, discarding my Pokemon at the slightest glimmer of failure on their part. Like, I get the intention of the Nuzlocke to try and get you to form stronger bonds with Pokemon you normally don't use by drastically limiting your pool of available critters, but it just makes me feel like I'm a bad trainer who decides, oh hey, this Pokemon fainted once. It's completely useless and I shouldn't use it anymore. I'm gonna go back to the Ninja Sword for Vaughn. Of course, that's probably just me being too guilty about things that happened. Anywho, let's go ahead and kill all these froggies, because why not? Like, even though I don't plan on buying the heavy armor set that's going to be available in the Hunter's Camp, because I hate having to deal with Reflect. Seriously, screw Reflect, I hate it. It's gonna be handy to have on hand anyway, just in case I am dealing with enemies who use Reflect, and I don't want to have to take the time to get past it. Alright. Another type of wolf enemy that looks really nice, I think. Well, no, I don't think. I know. I think they look really... I feel like they look really nice, because I like the way they look. I don't know if we need to kill the Mandragores here for anything, but they look nice, too. Lamia's Tiara. That's new Mystic armor. And it's a lot weaker than what I currently got equipped, so no thank you. Ugh, bird. You know what? I'm avoiding burbs. Stupid burbs. 69 gil. Woo! That really deserved the 3 exclamation points that were behind it. And I've changed my mind about exploring the whole Fawn Coast. I'm gonna do that off screen while I'm grinding, because I'm already bored. I just gotta find my way to the Hunter's Camp. And I believe up here should do. Also, I can buy a map. It'll make exploring this area much easier. No, not it here. Oh! I forgot. One thing I forgot to mention about that optional area in the Salika Wood, it leads to the Necro Hall of Nabudis, and if you're playing on the PlayStation 2 version and you're trying to get the Zodiac Spear, that is what you want to do. The Zodiac Spear is in the Necro Hall of Nabudis on the PlayStation 2. It's tough to get to it, but you can get to it just fine by running past all the enemies. Ooh, these guys are hitting hard. Yeah, really hard. These guys occasionally use status conditions, I think. I don't know, but I remember at one point I was running around with a gambit setup that had my characters casting Dispel, and the target was enemy any, and it ended up hitting those guys when they had a negative status condition that's otherwise tough to inflict. I forget. It was Berserk, the optional dagger. Well, not the optional. The daggers that are available right now. It's it inflicts Berserk, so my character kept curing that off these enemies that otherwise use what am I thinking about? Magic. Oh, that's why I'm not doing damage. I forgot to give Vaughn back his spear. Fortunately, Fran was able to take it out with gravity. Oh, yeah. You can use Dispel to get rid of the Berserk status condition, and the strongest dagger we have available to us now inflicts Berserk. I'm pretty sure it does anyway. Let me double check that. Yeah, Berserk. So that's when I decided to turn off the any Dispel gambit, so that way I could benefit from inflicting Berserk with that dagger. That said, though, Berserk as a status condition, it's really only useful when you're fighting enemies that specialize in using magic, like those birds, or jellies. It works really well against jelly-like enemies. Like the hunt that I've been putting off at this point, what was it called again? The White Moose. If you inflict Berserk on the target for that hunt, it basically can't do too much to you. Another good option is to hit it with silence, or like I was saying a few episodes back, equip the Viking coats because it mainly casts Aquera to deal water-based damage. You don't really want to cast Reflect on yourself because it absorbs the water element. And absorbing water isn't exactly something. So when an enemy is absorbing water and exclusively attacks with water, you don't want it to be absorbing the water it was trying to attack you with. I hate these burbs. Die, bird! Really? Already? Neat. No, right. They didn't just swap out. It's been like that for a while. Cannot talk today. Or cannot think today either. Go, Penelo! Vaughn's getting swapped out for Ash, so I can just equip his ninja sword now. Hopefully it'll be permanent, but knowing my luck, no. Those burbs don't stand a chance against the ladies. All of them have good options for fighting burbs. So if I was going to cut my party down to 3, I'm pretty sure that I definitely want Fran and Ash to be 2 of those 3. But when it comes to it, the third member, I'm torn between Bosch and Penelo. Both of them are so good, but I wouldn't know which one to use over the other. I'll let this cutscene play and then end the episode off here.
Race into the water.
Why the capital?
The Nethicite. I must destroy it.
Are you sure? You don't want it for yourself? Use its power to restore Dalmasca? Something like that? The best intentions invite the worst kind of trouble.
Lusting for ever greater power. Blinded by the Nethicite. Is that how you see me?
That does sound like someone I know. He was obsessed with Nethicite. It was all he cared about.
Come over here.
He'd babble nonsense, blind to aught but the stone's power.
Like I said,
He'd talk about some Enna, or was it Venna?
except for you.
No matter.
Thank you.
Everything he did to get closer to the Nethicite, to understand it. He made airships, weapons. He even made me a judge.
You were a judge?
Part of a past I'd rather forget. It didn't last long. I ran. I left the judges and him. Sidolphus Demon Bonanza. Draculaur Laboratories' very own Dr. Sid. That's when he lost his heart to Nethicite. Lost himself. And I suppose that's when I lost my father. Don't follow in his footsteps. I ran away. I couldn't stand seeing him like that, a slave to the stone. So I ran. Free at last. Funny I went for the Dusk Shard. How could I have known that it was Nethicite? And then, of course, I met you. All that running, and I got nowhere. It's time to end this. Cut my ties to the past.
It's hard to leave the past behind. I know.
marriage of convenience, a symbol of the alliance between Nebradia and Delmasca. This is how they see our match.
They do they?
These roles we play. I must admit, I find it wearying.
I will play mine.
I would have no other.
The choice is yours to make. But don't give your heart to a stone. You're too strong for that, princess.
I pray you're right, Balthier.
Okay, so that ended up being a bit longer than I had anticipated, but, yeah, that's basically why I made Balthier the Knight class, because a lot of the judges wear heavy armor and use swords and shields. Not all, but most. So, yeah, I made Balthier Knight because of his past as a judge. And now you know. Anyway, that's going to be all for now, so thank you all for watching, and yeah. I'm just going to say thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Spaced Oyster, signing out.